Hey guys, it's Black Kitten here. It's been a while since I've been on or done anything because adult life. I've been sort of between games. However, last month, April 2023, PlayStation Plus had Tales of Iron for free. So I went ahead and downloaded it. I've never played a side scroller or platformer before, but in the description, it was described as an RPG adventure with Souls-like combat, and I've been looking for that kind of combat since Dark Souls 3, since Elden Ring, and so I thought I would give it a try.
And so, your tale begins.
In Tales of Iron, you play as a young prince named Reggie, and your job is to kind of save and fix your kingdom. And today I kind of wanted to talk about the impressions that I was left with the game. First off, the theme of the game. So like being a rat in a little rat kingdom and your enemies are toads, which I love because toads that are big enough in real life do actually eat rats and mice. And having like bugs be a part, like bug juice be the healing item is great because obviously rats do eat bugs. And so like the whole theme and then having like the medieval background for the RPG and then towards the middle just kind of throwing in some steampunk for pizzazz was absolutely awesome and I absolutely loved it. The artwork is obviously hand drawn. It's absolutely adorable. And I cannot say that enough. I love adorable, cute things. And the armors and the cute little helmets and the tiny little mice. Like, it was an absolutely beautifully drawn game. I loved the artwork and the fact that the background of the areas that you go to actually change over time through the progression of the game. And I thought that was an amazing way to bring like life to the game. Like it actually feels like what you're doing is affecting this kingdom, and I thought that was really cool. I do also really love horror and gore aesthetic, so having a lot of underground areas that are very poorly lit and the combat just being very gory in general was amazing to me. So speaking of all of the gory details, the combat. So I wasn't really sure what exactly it meant when it said it had Souls-like combat for a side-scroller. And so I was a little hesitant on that front, and I was shown immediately what they meant by that. And it does have a lot of the same sort of pace I think that Souls games have, where in certain situations you want to be more defensive, in some situations you want to be more aggressive. And most importantly, you want to get all of your timing down because you don't want to miss a dodge or God forbid you missed a parry because the consequences were absolutely brutal. And I learned that pretty quickly. So saying it was Souls-like combat I think was actually really accurate and it really pulled everything together and made it like incredibly fun to play. And on top of the combat, like even though it's such a small game, you had a lot of choices of how to like approach everything. You had 3 different variations of weapons. Weapon choices were either a light weapon, which could be a sword, axe, or spear, or a heavy weapon, which could also be a sword, axe, or spear, and your ranged weapons of bow, crossbow, and gun. You also had light armor choices, medium armor, and heavy armor choices, so you really got to build your character the way that you wanted. So you could determine whether you wanted to be a full tank, or if you wanted to be a light little rogue, which I definitely chose the light little rogue. It occurred to me that very much like the Souls games, the mechanic system for weight does actually affect combat. Like most games that have a sort of weight system, heavy armor obviously gives you a massive boost in defense, but it also slows your movement in this game, and it makes it very difficult for last second decisions, so you have to be pretty on point with your timing if you're gonna do like a tank thing, and I'm gonna be honest, my timing could definitely use some work. So I went much like I did for my playthrough of Elden Ring, with a completely light loadout, except for the occasional whoopsie when I would pick up a weapon on the fly, and I would choose to equip it, not realizing that it would tilt me over just that small bit into medium, and I would immediately, as soon as I was in combat, realize what I had done, because it changed the timing. And I absolutely loved that. The monetary system was also a very interesting mechanic in this game. There's 3 different currencies. You have monster parts and iron ingots and gold. I had a hard time finding gold, but you really only needed it for a few quests anyway, and it kinda helped to do all of those side quests that got you gold, because it kinda just works towards like the trophies and everything in the end of the game anyway. But I did notice that outside one of the towns there was actually 2 little kiosks where you could exchange either iron ingots or monster parts for the other item, which I thought was awesome, because then you have an easier way to actually manage your resources, and I thought that was amazing. Speaking of managing resources, I love the Souls-esque of only having a limited amount of heals until you get to that next save point. I love that so much. I love being forced to like decide if I'm really hurt enough to need that healing item. And I thought the best part was there is a mechanic in the game. You don't really level up or anything like that. However, you can increase your health bar over time as you open and unlock things with the chef. Now, the best part I think about this flask is that you decide how much of it at a time that you actually drink to heal. And I love that so much. I didn't even mind that it was only 1 flask. And the best part about it is that you can refill it either at a rest station or even just after combat if you fought grubs. You could actually, if you had used some of your healing flask, what you could do is you could go and loot the grubs afterwards, and it would actually refill your health flask. And I thought that was really neat mechanic. Now, with any video that's going to go over sort of reviewing or giving opinions, which is what this is, they're just my personal opinions, of a game, there are negative things to be brought up. So, one of the big things that I did want to bring up was, according to Steam, the average playtime, as far as just doing the main story or even going all the way to getting all of the trophies, ranged between 7 and 10 hours. However, I realized that I was a little disappointed as I completely platinumed the game in 1 day and got extra footage for roughly about only 6 hours. So my only complaint there is that I wish it was longer. I loved it so much that I just really wanted more, and I kind of felt sad that the average player got more than I did. But that may just be that I got really invested and just really powered through the whole game all in one go. There weren't any glitches. Like, I never got stuck anywhere. I never had to deal with like weird clipping issues. Like, it was a very well-made game. The only other thing that I could say would be a negative complaint is not a complaint from me, but the very beginning of the game does extremely handhold you as far as playing the game. It tells you where to go, it blocks you from going to other places so you don't wander off too far at first. Very extensive tutorial of how to do everything before the game really kicks off. And like I said, I don't mind that because I've never played a platformer before. I needed that. So I tried years ago to play Hollow Knight. I really did. And I played it for about an hour because I got lost, confused, and had no idea what I was supposed to be doing. And immediately just like put it down. So I can't even really say that I've played. But as far as this one goes, the hand-holding does, it really is just in the very beginning of the game, and then it does completely go away. So that was awesome. So me, I needed that. As someone who's never done this, it took a while before I realized that I could break things on the side of the road, even though it very obviously had a bold line around it. It never occurred to me that I could break those things. And I did fail a lot of jumps when I first started. I don't know what it is. There were a few places I even missed items because I attempted a jump that I thought I could do, and when I'd failed it like 5 times, I was like, you know what, maybe it's not here. And then later towards the end of the game, when I'd figured out the jump mechanic, I realized that I was just bad at it at the beginning because I went back and got all of the items. So I did end up platinuming the game, and it was well worth it. I loved it. It was amazing. Tell me what you thought about the game if you've played it, if you're thinking about playing it. If you have any other ideas for Souls-like games, I would love to hear them. So that was my impression and obviously my personal opinions of Tales of Iron. Please let me know what you thought of the video, if you want more content like this, if you wanted me to do something like this on a different game. I would even be willing to try a new game that I never have and just capture sort of all of that footage of me learning and making mistakes, if that's what you want to see. If you just want to see something that I have played before, I can absolutely restart it. I can just show you what I've learned from it. I can do deep dives, just whatever you want to see from the channel, let me know in the comments, and hopefully I will get back to you. Thank you so much for watching.
Hair. Gray Ears put up a hearty challenge, but his grand hops are no match for Reggie's iron will.